Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a ranking video and I haven't actually done one of these in literally ages. So I'm very excited, and it is one that has been requested many times, I think by the same person, because I keep seeing them suggesting it, and I'm pretty sure I've replied to one saying yeah, it's on the list, but I can't keep replying every time they suggest it. So yeah, today we're going to be ranking all of the Whitewall intros for each season of The Next Step. And as I was doing this, it took a long while, to be honest, because I'd have to watch one, then watch another, and compare them both and see which one was better. Then I'd have to compare two more and two more. I have ranked all 7 seasons so far, and I've based it on a lot of different factors. So I'm going to give you the pros and the cons for each one and explain why they're in the position they're in. And we're literally going to go from 7th place to 1st place. So in 7th place is season 2's Whitewall intro, and if I'm perfectly honest with you, I have no positives for this. It reused a lot of the character intros from season 1. It wasn't very refreshed, it wasn't anything new, and especially because Riley cut her hair and it was like a big drastic change for Riley's appearance, they still used her movements in the dance sections of it, and you could see that it was season 1 Riley, not season 2 Riley, even though they changed her name. Dance, I don't even know what to call all these different sections, but so at certain times it was season 2 and at certain times it was the season 1 footage, so it was just kind of mismatched. I also think it was a bit too slow. It didn't have much energy to it, and it just wasn't very significant for season 2 either. Of course you've added in these new characters, but you've kept the old Whitewalls from season 1, and I feel like every season should have had a fresh, new Whitewall intro, because we all do like seeing who's on the new Whitewalls, what are they going to be doing in them, what's the new dances, stuff like that. In 6th place we actually have season 3, and I'm saying actually because season 3 is one of the top seasons for most people, along with season 2 probably. So season 3 actually does have some positives. They had 3 different versions of this Whitewall intro depending on who was on A Troop, who was getting kicked off, who was joining and whatever, and I really like that because I literally remember being excited every time it would change. I'd be like, oh yes, what have they done differently this time, who's in it? I think the most exciting change was when James was re-added to it, because obviously he got kicked off during the battles and then rejoined when there was a spot open on the team. I also like that all of the season 3 character shots were full body shots. They didn't cut between zooming close-ups and far away full body shots, because I don't like when they do that. I'll explain that a little bit later with some of the others, but I liked how you could see their whole body. It didn't change angles or anything, it wasn't choppy, it just literally was them dancing and then they'd fade out again. In the version 2 of the season 3 Whitewall intro, you can see Stephanie in it, and Stephanie hadn't actually joined A Troop yet, so I feel like this is just a major no. She shouldn't have been in there. Basically, she wasn't even on the team. West also still had his season 1 Whitewalls in this one, and it's season 3 and he still hasn't had an updated Whitewall. Riley has had season 1, 2 and 3 all changed. He had Whitewalls in season 3 that were significant for that season. He just didn't have an opening. Also, Michelle's season 1 splits was shown, and I just feel like you should leave season 1 in the past and season 2, and you should have a Whitewalls purely focused on season 3. Use your new footage, use the new characters, show the maturity. Kind of what I was saying about Riley having long hair again in season 2, even though she cut it by then. So yeah, Michelle season 1 was shown in Michelle season 3. Also, it's a tiny little thing, but they finished just before the beat. They strike the pose before the song is actually finished, and it kind of just bugs me a bit because it's a tiny bit off. And that is all my critiques for season 3. In 5th place we have the most recent Whitewall intro, and that is of course season 7. I liked how Rochelle was finally at the beginning of the Whitewall intro. I feel like she definitely deserved it because she is a main character. She's the most senior on the team now. I also really like the bit where Piper, Finn and Kenzie all do the same step at the same time. It just blends well, and I like how it ties in from just being the names to the dancey bit where they're all jumping around and whatever. I like how smooth it cut into it. However, there's quite a few negatives for it, which is why it gets pushed down. Once again, it switches from being full body shots to close-up shots, and I feel like it's just choppy. It doesn't look as natural as the season 1, 2, 3, whatever seasons they didn't do that. I just feel like it doesn't look as natural, and it just looks more produced in a way. It's kind of hard to explain because obviously it is a produced intro, but it just makes it look a lot more staged in a way. Also, not everyone has equal screen time in this one. For example, Cleo, literally, I think she just points at the screen and then she zooms off again. This is a little spoiler in case you haven't seen season 7, so you might just want to skip. I'll put a skip marker here, so skip to this if you don't want to hear. Okay, but also Cleo and Summer are still in the Whitewall intro even though they're no longer on A Troop, and I just feel like this is odd because if you take season 3 for example, as soon as James was kicked off A Troop he was removed from the Whitewall intro, but Summer and Cleo remain. So I kind of think there's an inconsistency as to whether the Whitewall intros mean main characters or whether they mean A Troopers. I personally think it should just be A Troopers because obviously Miss Kate and Chris don't have a Whitewall intro, they don't have their names shown. People like Lucian in season 3, who was a big part of it, didn't have a Whitewall intro. In this Whitewall trailer I really feel like they could have done more character specific moves, especially Piper. I feel like to see her do an aerial into shot after the palaver of her not being able to get her aerial in season 6 would have really shown her development and her growth. It also doesn't really seem too happy for me. I don't know, I don't get the same kind of vibe from earlier seasons. It seems a lot more serious, and rather than them having fun and showing their personalities through their dancing. In addition to this, I think Piper and Finn's little bit is too slow as well for the pace of the music. And at the end, where they're doing the ending pose, I've rearranged the order that I think they should be in because I don't like where they're all positioned. I know it's like literally completely random on, they're all jumping and then they just freeze, but I feel like it could have been a bit more strategic and putting people in places that are significant for their character. So let me read you the order and I will position them through editing somehow. So in this order, literally from left to right, I think it should be Heath, Ozzy, Kingston, Lily, Kenzie, Rochelle, Piper, Finn, Amy, Henry, Summer and Cleo. So Rochelle would be centre because she is the most senior dancer and of course she was the face of Absolute Dance. I think that Piper and Amy should be either side of Finn because of their love triangle. Cleo and Heath should be on either end of A Troop because they're both the alternates. And it also means that everyone is next to someone that has significance to them. So obviously you've got Heath and Ozzy, Ozzy and Kingston, Kingston and Lily, Kenzie and Rochelle, the frenemies, you know. Then we have Piper and Finn and Amy, Henry and Summer, and then Cleo, who's trying to get in with Summer and has a few scenes with Summer, and obviously they have significance later in the season, and she is of course an alternate, so she goes on the edge. That is the order I would have put them in personally. You can let me know what you think of that order down below. So next we have season 5, and season 5 is quite memorable for me because when their names popped up, the colour of their name depicted which alliance they had, whether they were on TNS East or TNS West, and if they changed troop, the white walls would change and so would the colour of their names. So for example, Piper started off as blue because she was on TNS East, and when she switched to TNS West it changed to orange, red, that kind of shade. I really like that. I think it just adds significance to the season. I also really feel like their personalities came through in their white walls. I feel like everyone showed how their character acted. That's like, literally their personalities came through. My criticisms though, I didn't like once again how the camera switches from close-ups to full bodies. I just think it takes away something. Also, I feel like Rochelle should have been closer to the beginning rather than left at the very end. She had quite a plot for that season, so she was a character of significance, and if anything I would have had her be on the same slide as Piper because they were obviously both dance captains of rival teams. Also, I think the energy was just a bit of a medium level and they landed too early on the final beat for me. So in third place is actually season 4. So season 4's done really well this time. I really like the effects that went with their names. It was kind of, it reminded me of Music Notes, and obviously that's significant because Lost and Found was set, well, it was set before season 4, but the band had a lot of significance in season 4. They came in quite a lot. It just was nice. I feel like it really added something for the season, and like I said for season 5 how it's significant for that, I think season 4's was very significant for season 4. I also think there was a lot more energy for this Whitewall intro. I really liked it. But I will say some characters again barely had any screen time. I think I wrote it down. Yeah, LaTroy had around 4 seconds on screen and Cassie had around 2. It's just not the same, and I think if I was making the Whitewall intro I'd make sure everyone had an equal amount of time on screen. I think Cassie as well, she pretty much just did a spin on, what, I said spin then, that's wrong. She did a turn onto screen and as she was doing a jump she went off. Like there was nothing impressive about what she did. Like I said earlier as well, I did feel like A-Troop should have been the only ones in the Whitewall intro, so I didn't really like that James was included. I know James and Riley obviously had a huge storyline for season 4, but I just like it when it's purely A-Troop that's involved. I also felt like the bit where they all kind of whiz across the screen, it felt a bit too animated for me. I personally don't like that anyway. I'll explain in a little bit. It just felt too fast and a bit too animated. I'm not really sure how to explain it, but overall, season 4's was okay for me. In second place, we then have season 6, which means season 1 is at the top, but let's talk about season 6 first. So season 6 had a mixture of slow motion and normal, which I like because it gives you time to focus on the moves they're doing and also see who's on screen, but it doesn't completely slow down the pace and make it slower than the song. Also, people appeared with people that were significant to them, so I'm pretty sure Noah and Jackie were together. I can't remember off the top of my head, but people were significant with whoever they popped up with, and I liked that. Season 6's also seemed a lot brighter and more colourful and energetic, and I feel like everyone also looked happy, which I like, especially Jackie. Jackie had a huge smile on her face, but it just seemed like they injected energy into that Whitewall intro. I also really like the girls section on stand-up. I just think that it worked perfectly with how the beat then kicked in and they all did this thing, you know. Oh, and I did like how in version 2 of the season 6 intro, Noah and Jackie's positions changed. They went from looking at each other to being back to back, crossing their arms. But that kind of ties into a negative because I felt like that would signify a really big change in their relationship. But they literally just broke up in the last episode, and then they kissed in the same episode after they broke up. And then for season 7, Jackie left because of Noah, apparently. So did they break up? Really? Once again, I felt like the flying across looked a bit too animated. The thing that I like instead of that happens in the season 1 Whitewall intro, so I will explain what I would prefer in a second. And on the end group section, it literally was probably just jumping around. It wasn't much to it. And in the version 2 intro, Amy stayed in it even though Davis was added because she was a replacement for her. So I feel like if you're adding someone to the Whitewalls because they now have significance and they're now on the team, you should probably take out the person that they're replacing. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, in first place is season 1. And there's a lot of things that I like about season 1, and there's literally just one thing that I didn't like. So there's a lot of chemistry shown in this Whitewall intro. I like how people were shown with significant others. So Riley and James, for example, they did this shimmy towards each other. I felt like they just added a bit of personality and relevance to the show. It wasn't just literally them on their own. I kind of wish they'd done it consistently throughout the season, so have Piper and Amy interact somehow. Same thing with Piper and Finn. Everyone in the season 1 Whitewall intro also had a little bit of time to focus on them because it went in slow motion. I liked that. It seemed like everyone had enough time on screen as well. And then I get onto the thing that I like. So instead of them whizzing across the screen and doing random things, which I think they do like on a tumble track, but Giselle instead does back handsprings across the screen, and people look like they're jumping over Giselle rather than just flying around aimlessly. It just goes with the movement and it looks more natural. So I wish they'd kept this in for every season because I'm pretty sure at least one person in every season can do back handsprings. It keeps it consistent throughout the seasons even if the person doing it changes. But overall, I really like it, and the only thing I probably would change is the ending positions again, similar to season 7, how I'd put people next to people they're significant with. So I'd have Tiffany and Stephanie be on Emily's side, along with Giselle and Chloe, because obviously they were the e-girls, and then I'd move Jiley to Michelle's side to signify that there's animosity kind of between the two halves, with how Michelle choreographed a whole dance behind Emily's back. Even though there's some of the e-girls who took part in it, it would just be e-girls versus everybody else. I'd also potentially put Eldon in between Michelle and Emily, so it would be Eldon in the middle and then Emily, Michelle and whoever they're with, because there was obviously that big love triangle between them. So yes, that was me ranking the Whitewall intros from season 1 to season 7, deciding which one was the best. Let me know down below what you think of my ranking. You can switch it up if you want, but I warn you, it takes a while to properly assess each one and pick out what is good, what is bad, and just try and notice things, because once you've watched them about 10 times through, they all start blurring into one. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it, and make sure you subscribe as well. I post every Sunday at least, and then multiple times throughout the week, depending on how busy I am. I'll see you Wednesday for a new video, guys. I'm trying to think of when this goes up. I'll see you on Wednesday for a new video, guys. Bye.